It's an Indian way. This is what I keep saying. It's a very Bharat way of doing business, being caring for people. And in a way, we are revisiting our roots by doing all these things. This is how we used to operate.
All right, folks, we have a very special guest on the podcast today. Hello, Ambi. Welcome to the Startup Operator Podcast.
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram. So, as you can see, I'm feeling very comfortable today. Thanks to my Vesti, which Ambi has gifted me so kindly. Thank you so much. It's a pretty unique style in startups, especially. But this whole people first culture that you talk about, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it comes through in everything that you say and do. And you talk about this whole conscious capitalism and everything. Folks, I mean, if you're listening and you think this is slightly offbeat, I think it's going to be an offbeat episode because Ambi is a man of many worlds, right? And he's unique in all of these different ways. So it's not your typical startup operator podcast today. So we're going to be talking about business building, of course, right? But we're also going to talk about a few other more philosophical things, right? But let's talk about this whole people first culture. Suppose, I mean, you've imbibed some of these values from Zoho, which we'll talk about a little bit later on your stint at Zoho, how you built out the whole partner ecosystem and everything.
Happy to.
But people first culture, what does it mean? Does it mean like foosball tables in the office and beer on Fridays, or does it translate to more than that? And how do you live that culture?
See, when we say people first, we actually mean people first. And I come from a point where you can actually look up all the Gozen reviews on Glassdoor and Google reviews and all that. Organically, whatever our people have spoken about, you can read it. So that is a much better representation. See, somebody had this question. So they were saying, can you define culture? It's a very difficult thing to define. Can you define culture? Culture inside a company. So for me, culture is something that is intangible, but that is what end of the day can make or break a startup. So for me, I define people first culture. So whenever there is a tough situation between the company and, let's say, I don't see it as two different entities, the company and the people working for it. They're very Advaitic in nature in that way. So what we do is that if there's a tough situation between the interest of the company and then the interest of the person involved, we always take the person and make sure the person's interest is put first. So for example, you can take very, very simple things. You can think of one employee working at Gozen, right? So they had actually pledged some jewelry somewhere, and then it gotten to a point where that the jewelry is simply going away because the money has not been repaid or anything. And through a casual conversation, I actually found out that this was the reason why this person was not feeling well. Or that when you walk into an office, it's like you can actually sense the mood. If somebody is off, you can actually go and talk to them and then figure it out. And then actually the company decided it will, whatever money was required to take the jeweler, because it was a very sentimental jewelry for their mother. So we had to take it. So we actually made sure that the money is paid and the jewelry is taken out. So now for us, it's people-centric. So we offer all the perks. We are 100% bootstrapped, but we offer all the perks that any funded company would offer. So you'll be very surprised that in a place like Coimbatore, so this culture is actually working and people are actually understanding the value of working in a company where there's good culture. So for example, whatever perks, you can 1, 2, 3, 4, like the checkbox item, like free food, free snacks and all that. And by the way, we have a zero tolerance policy for alcohol. Personal time is different, but within the office premises or any office related event. So we do a monthly lunch and a one day out with the team or anything. So alcohol is strictly off the limits. So what we do is, so we offer all the perks. In fact, Gozen also offers accommodation also. So there are Gozen houses.
Wow. And this is a bootstrap company?
Yeah, it is. So see, the idea here is very, very simple. We take a very Indian approach, very Indian approach to company building, where we say, think of it like whatever work that you do is the service that you're doing to the customer, and the leadership role is to be of service to the employees, not the other way around. So we put the employee at the heart of everything. And then externally, we put the customer at the heart and the center of everything. So this is what we call the people first culture. So their interest first ahead of the company's interest. So what we measure the success is in terms of happiness, not in terms of like how much we have grown month over month. It is important year over year growth, because I keep saying this thing that our idealism should be backed by capitalism. So what enables that culture is money, but it is not money itself. There are like so many other things, like how happy people feel coming to the office. Is there like, so think of a company that has been around only for the last 16 months, but we have shipped 4 products and then 1 bundle. And we have like me and my co-founder Rahul, and we do also have an office in New Jersey, by the way.
Right.
So there are no senior people. So what we do is we take a very exploratory mindset to everything, and then we slowly figure out it. So what we call is learning by doing. So this people first culture enables all that. Happiness at a personal level, professional level, and it also enables us to give them a larger purpose to their work. Like just simply looking at, so think of somebody, I want to take a person's name, somebody who's working at Gozen right now. Her name is Aarti. So you go and read the product reviews for Gozen, you will see a lot of very good reviews for the UI UX aspect. I'm sure you would have read a couple of it too. And then you'll be very surprised, we are replacing Google and Microsoft products also in a certain category. So this person is into her 14th month of employment, and then she came from a village called Madhukur, which is 60 kilometers away from Kumbakonam. And then she learned that skill by herself, by watching YouTube videos and then trying out different things. And she, at the end of the day, we took the confidence and then launched the first product. Everybody loved it. The second product, what we launched was Gozen Growth. Everybody loved the UI and UX. The third we launched was Gozen Forms. People liked it. And Content.ai, I think she simply outdid herself. There are other UI UX designers too. They work as a team. So now think of it. Investing in that person's happiness from day one has really helped us to get her best contribution to the company. So what we do internally, Rahul and I, we talk about this a lot. So when somebody joins Gozen, it is not that they have to build the trust with us. So we start with 100. We say getting into this company is tough, but once you get into the company, we make sure we trust you to the core. So they start at 100 and we leave it to the person to bring it to 90, 80, 70, 60 or even 0. So it is not that they have to earn their trust.
You give the benefit of the trust to them.
Yes,
basically.
It is trust by default.
Right.
And then we create a very conductive atmosphere purely in being, so there are no like separate cubicles for me or anybody. So it's the simple, every open office style, and we try to be authentic at what we do, not just lip service in terms of we take care of the employee. So I can quote a lot of examples, but certain things I don't want to bring it out. But the idea here is invest in your employees' happiness. It will transform into the product. It will transform to the outside world, to your customers. And when they come back for support or onboarding or anything, they will interact and then feel, oh, this is actually
there
great
is a
people.
Difference. Yeah.
So that's the way I see people at the heart of every decision we make. So that is the people first culture. From a Gozen perspective, outside.
Oh, makes sense. And I feel like this sort of unhinged focus on productivity, efficiency, kind of treats human beings as machines.
Yes.
And I feel that human beings are different, very, very different from machines, right? We can't clock that 8 or 9 hours of output like
very
machines
true.
can, very reliably, consistently. And I think there are various factors involved, right? Which is why I've always believed that there is nothing like a work-life separation, right? So I exactly, right? I mean, you have to figure a way to integrate that, assimilate that, make that part of your lifestyle. Because you can't be two different people, one at work and one at home, right? I mean, it kind of bleeds into it, even if we do try to do that. So obviously it is important to invest in your employees' happiness and their success as well, and make that overlap with your professional success as much as possible, right?
Yes. In fact, sorry to interrupt. In fact, we don't separate the two. So our employee success is our success.
Yeah. No, precisely. I mean, it's like perfectly congruent in your case, right? And I think it is possible at the scale at which you operate, right? I mean, it may not be possible at 1,000 or 10,000 employee scale, right? I mean, obviously things break, and obviously there are all sorts of exceptions that will creep into the system. But I do believe that it is possible at a 20, 30, 100 member scale as well. And I've kind of seen this as also. Some of the older, family run businesses and so on, right? I mean, they do have an undue care for, what's happening in their employees' lives. They do know them by name and family and so on, right? Not to say that they haven't done well. I mean, they've all done well, right? And have had this sort of a culture, right? So it's pretty amazing that you're sort of reviving some of this stuff.
It's a very Bharat way of doing that thing, where you literally care for the employee at a deeper level. If there is something wrong in their family, it's not that we can fix everything, but sometimes you can be there and then see what can be done. If there is a medical situation, so you can see that who's the best doctor they can go to. Is there any financial assistance required? Are they using the right insurance and all that stuff? So that kind of help is always there. So it's a very, I would say, a Bharat way of doing business. It has been there. Probably, I would say westernization destroyed it a little bit, where it said, just like they like to draw the line between the church and the state, right? In fact, there are people who think calling people who work at your company, if you call them family, the Western mind doesn't understand that. How can they be family? But if you spend 10 to 14 hours of a day thinking about the work and 8 to 9 hours working with them, then they are family, right?
There is a bit of a low trust environment, especially in recent times, right? Where you've seen, especially in startups, employees have been motivated to commit to the mission, right? And really, what work you're doing is more than your work and all of that stuff. But then when things got tough, a bunch of them got laid off, right? And yes, I mean, hard decisions have to be made. Right? Yes, the founder has to do what's right by the business, but it is very difficult, to sort of do this as well. It's not as simple, and I think we'll talk about the fact that you're bootstrapped and the fact that you operate out of Coimbatore, which is again a tier 2 city. I don't think it's a tier 2 city, but I think it's like
it feels richer.
Definitely feels richer. It's a very industrial place, but. In certain settings, I think it's definitely possible, what you're talking about.